Hello YouTube land. Thought I'd do a little feeds and speeds so you can maybe understand a little bit more on my onefinity, how I'm getting them. First, I use a variety of bits. First one is a white side 1-inch 3 flute surfacing bit. It's number 6210. Looks like all the other ones. I mean, you can get a cheaper one if you want. But I can push this 324 inches per minute to surface my wasteboard. Or if I'm flattening my black walnut, I can do close to 200 inches per minute. But I only do a depth of cut of like 0.01 or 0.001. Real thin. As you can see, my bit is cutting, getting a little burnt, which I clean it up every time. I'll just do a little light sanding with like 800 grit, and then I use a little bit of oil on it to lubricate the metal, and then it cuts fine after that. Another one I use for fine detail is I think it's Fruid, I don't know how to say that, but it's a 1/16 inch straight bit, and I go about a 32nd of an inch deep and do 2 passes so I get a 16th inch deep depth. And as you can see in my design, that is 1/16 of an inch deep. So I would use that bit just for the detail stuff. All the large areas, I would use an 1/8 inch bit at least, if not a 1/4 inch bit to cut out. This bit I can do about 60 inches per minute. I wouldn't push it any farther than that, because when you look at the tip, it is very small and you gotta be very careful. So, and then I spend money on Amana tools. These are the Spectra coated bits. This is the 1/4 inch wood bit, which has a 2 flute with the blue coating. This thing is a beast. This Spectra brand is very, very good. So once you get good at using your machine and you've broken enough cheap bits that you know exactly what you're doing, then get these. Don't get these right away. You don't want to break these. These are like $38, $40 each. So once you get experience, then buy these. But other than that, buy the Amazon cheapos. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with them. They will work. And if you break them, it's a couple bucks gone. Whoopie-doo. Here is my 1/8 inch 2 flute Spectra coated bit. This is the one I use to do all the holes in the cribbage board. And I can literally go 60 inches per minute in plunge straight down. I don't have to do pecking. I can do rapid in and out, just straight up, straight down at that speed. And I can push 144 inches in the surface distance moving around, and I can do those holes on that cribbage board you see in the view 8 minutes. That's like 200, almost 280 to 300 holes. It's pretty fast, especially in black walnut. This 1/4 inch bit, I usually push it around 180 inches per minute for your surface speed pretty much. And then I do a depth of cut plunge at 50 to 60 inches per minute also. And it does not slow down the router. It does not deflect at all with these bits. These bits are really amazing. I haven't had bits like this ever, and I've been doing CNC work for 3-4 years now. Definitely recommend them. I'm not sponsored by them, but I do like these. So, get back to what I was saying before. To get these speeds, I can go. Let's see here. So, I use Fusion 360. It's just a program I use. It's I've used AutoCAD for 20 years. I know it. I understand it, and I figure stuff out a little faster. So, of course, when you're in manufacturing, you do your 2D pocket. You gotta set everything up. So I've got my 1-inch surface bit, which is this one again, the 3 flutes, and I run it at 24,000 RPMs. You can set it whatever you want. There is no problem going down, which is 18,000 is usually the standard. And if you look, when you do 18,000 there, it changes your ramp spindle speed also, but your cutting feed rate and everything will change also based on your RPMs, And also your feed per tooth will change your lead in, lead out, and your cutting feed rate. So I know on the 1/4 inch Spectra bit, I can go 0.006 for feed per tooth. It is stated in the Amana Tools spec sheet for their bits. I know the 1/8 inch you can do, I believe it's 0.004 max feet per tooth. And this one, the white side, they don't really give you a lot of information on it, but I believe I push it around 0.03 max for feet per tooth just to make sure. But as you can see, 0.003 feet per tooth, you're getting 162 inches a minute for your cutting feed rate. I'm also getting 144 inches for ramp speed, and my plunge is 25 because I like to be safe with this bit going down, because one, you can burn it, and two, you could damage your wood if you go too fast going down, because it's a big area going down on the board, whether you plunge or whether you do a smooth profile with the ramp. You want to be careful plunging. The rest of the speeds, as long as you got the RPMs right and you got your feeds per tooth right, you know, Fusion 360 sets most of that up for you. Now, of course, you got to select your pockets, which it's not that hard to do. Sometimes it looks confusing. You set your heights, which is your retract height over everything, your model top. I like to use model top and everything. You can do stock top if you have stock material and you haven't planed it and all that. But I like to stick with model top and everything. And then I use model top and just the depth I'm trying to do overall for the bottom, instead of actually using the bottom of the board. I just use model top and I want to go down a negative 0.03. So 1/32 of an inch. That's all I'm cutting on this pass. But when you go to passes, I've got the 0.002 for tolerance. That's what onefinity says. I'm doing conventional, which is right cut, so I don't get a lot of friction and heat. Minimum cutting radius, you can put this in, but really it's for like tapered and V-bits, stuff like that, because they want to know half of your diameter or your radius of the tip of your bit, so they know how much of inside corner you can get. You got your finishing pass, which for what I'm doing here surfacing, I'm not going to use it. But if you're doing any kind of other cutout and you have a edge that you want finished real clean, you select that and then you set your space, how much of the finished step over you want. So as you saw in the picture there, it shows you, okay, this is how much it's going to step over. And you can do multiple. You don't have to just do one. You can do 12. You can do 20. Most time when I do a step over like that, I'm finished. I do, oh, not bad. I do 0.015 for a finish. That's nothing. That's like a hair for thickness, just to give it a nice clean edge on whatever you're cutting. So you can cut faster with the other bits, your 1/4 inch and 1/8 inch, to cut out all the bulk of material. And then once you get to the edge, it'll come around a little slower and it'll cut just a fine bit to get it exactly clean and everything. But on this one, I'm not doing a finish pass. Now this is a 1-inch bit. I do about 3/4 to 7/8 step over. I don't like to do the full 1-inch, and I don't like doing 1/2 inch because it takes a lot longer. You can do a morph spiral machine, as they call it. It's just a different style. As you can see in the picture, it cuts a little less, a little thinner than doing a bulk without it. Mine, I'm not worried about. Smoothing deviation is usually always the same as your tolerance. It automatically changes. Multiple depths, so I've got it set at 0.01. So it'll do 3 passes at 0.01 and use even step downs. Now if I wanted a really smooth finish, like for my finished product cut, I can do a finished step down here, as I've told people in their feeds when they have questions. Do 1 step down feed, and then you can set the depth really thin, so when it's thin, your bit goes down just a minute amount and it'll clean and make your surface smooth. So like when you do a cut I've seen on videos, and people are complaining about the center being higher than the edge, that's because your bit is deflecting either up and down or a little bit side to side, and you have all this like fuzziness or just a 1/4 of a millimeter depth change. When you're cutting deep, you're going to get that. You're going to have a slight deflection because either your bit's pushing the wood down if it's down cut, or it's pulling up cut, and that means it's going to go into the wood more. So those are the 2 things I always set if I'm doing a very finished design custom. Set both of those finishes. It takes longer to cut, but at the end, a lot less sanding, and it looks a lot better. So you can go by order by depth, which means it's going to stay in that pocket and keep going down. I don't really use that. And you got stock to leave. You know, if you are doing like a V-bit style or something like that, you use that to set the stock so it sets back in and cuts less, and then you run with your V-bit and that gets cut out with the V-bit, so you get that nice angle shape. Feed optimization, you can use it, but it's going to slow it down more because it's going to slow it down in corners, and depending on what you're cutting and your depth, you may not want to go slower in the corners because it might burn up your bit. Smoothing I always put on. That helps with your curves. So if you have a lot of vector nodes in your lines, it'll make them less and smooth them, so your machine moves smoother in curves and faster. Instead of going more straight and jagged, it'll go smooth. Real simple. So, and then you got your linking. So I like to leave the high feed rate mode the way it is. I usually don't change that. Keeping the tool down, depending on what you're doing for a process, I usually keep it down, but some things you don't, because it'll just drag across and go right through the material. So make sure on that. Lead in and lead out, I don't really use that because I don't really cut on the outside of material like they do with metal, like blocks and stuff. And ramping, depending on what it is, like this is with a 1-inch bit, so I'm going to do a smooth profile so I get a nice ramp going down. If it was my 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch bit, I would just plunge my depth because it can handle it. You can change degrees and all that, but I just leave that all the way it is. And then the position, unless you really want to set a point to start, it'll automatically figure it out itself. So doing all that, and then you hit OK. I'm going to cancel because it's already set. To do those 2 depths, it's going to take me 3 minutes. That's nothing to surface the top of this board, which, if you let me show you, it's going to cut this black walnut board. And this black walnut board, it's got a little slight bowl. You can see it a little bit right there. It's not flat. I've got it taped down. I've got screws in the corners that are countersunk, so they're out of the way of the bit. So I can run this code once or twice, get it down flat, and then I can flip it over and do the same thing on the other side, and it's planed. You don't have to actually have a planer. Like today, it's raining outside. I don't want to open the garage door and get all the humidity and everything else in here from all that. Instead, just do it on onefinity. So that's what I'm about to do here. Hopefully you enjoyed the video here. I'm not going to show you me cutting this cribbage board because I've done several before, and people are going to get tired of looking at the same thing, especially when it's cribbage boards, and they might not know what a cribbage board is. But hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you got some information about this. Hopefully maybe this will give you some insight towards getting not the onefinity, but the Autodesk Fusion 360. It is free for hobbyists for 1 year. You can download it for free. It's all in the cloud. All your files, you don't need to save on a thumb drive. You can save them on a thumb drive if you want, but all I keep is the G codes, because once I get them locked in and I know they're going good, the codes are done. I don't have to touch them again. Now this one's set up for 1 board. I have one set up for 2 boards, since I can do 2 left and right on the onefinity at a time on a board, and most of my boards are 1x10, so they're 9¼ inches, which I need 9 inches from here to here, so I can run 2. I can also set up a jig where I can run, 2 boards, 1 left and right and 1 right behind it, and I can do 4 boards. I can set that up too. Just haven't, because I haven't had that many orders yet to push the machine. But any event, hopefully you enjoyed a little bit of information on how I do this and how I figure out all this stuff. I create all my 3D models on Fusion 360 through design on here. That is my creation. And if you look down here, it is a big long list of stuff on the very bottom here that I did to create it. So if you know AutoCAD, you can do Fusion 360 no problem. I'd highly recommend it. If you don't, I have heard VCarve and Aspire are probably easier to learn. I don't know if either one of them is free. I think there is a free version of it, but also there's a paid version, which is of course Pro, which is better. I have myself, I have not used them. I have heard that they're great things, especially for V-carve inlays and stuff like that. That is one thing with Fusion 360 though, doing the inlays. It's a little tricky, but once you get used to it, it's actually not that bad. And once you've done it, you can save those settings, and then you can look back at your file and you just recreate those toolpaths for other projects. So thank you for listening. I know the video is a little long. I also want to let you know, I'm going to put up a picture of our winner from the past giveaway for the Jenny 1/4 inch and the mini Jenny 1/8 inch bit, Mr. Bill Fleck, or Bill Baggins as you know him on YouTube. Congratulations. Hope you enjoy the bits, and when your machine comes, hopefully you can put up a video of how they work. And also don't forget, 500 subscribers, I'm giving away a Makita RTO701C router to the winner. Once we hit 500 subscribers, I'm doing that giveaway. So we're at 202. We got a ways to go. So people, like, subscribe, and hit that bell, and get in there, and you're automatically in the competition. So get at it. Peace.